Choosing and setting up a home theatre audio system is never simple, but it needn't be a nightmare. In this two-part video, I'll be covering the 10 most common mistakes that people make so that you know how to avoid them, starting with this one. None of the TVs we've tested at Choice in the past year produce what we'd call good audio, and there's no reason to expect this to change in the foreseeable future. And we really have ourselves to blame for this. High demand for slim and sexy displays leaves manufacturers with little room for a decent set of speakers. As a result, they're often underpowered, tinny things hidden away in the bezel or the casing. In some instances, they may not even be facing towards the viewer. So the amount of money you spend on your TV has very little bearing on its audio quality. As a rule of thumb, you should probably expect to spend about the same on your audio setup as you did on your TV. That said, even an entry-level audio system is likely to provide some improvement. By their nature, tiny satellite speakers aren't good at reproducing low-frequency noises, and the exact opposite is true of subwoofers. Once again, our desire for our unobtrusive technology has driven many manufacturers toward a tiny speakers, big subwoofer design, leaving mid-range frequencies like dialogue feeling neglected. While size is no guarantee of quality, you should at least consider a system that uses a larger speaker for the centre channel, or be prepared to put up with a top and bottom heavy soundtrack on all your audio. As one of the pioneers of surround sound technologies, the Dolby name has become synonymous with home theatre audio. But seeing the double D trademark on a device doesn't necessarily mean that it's what you need. There are many surround sound standards, but the ones you should be looking for are Dolby Digital, also known as AC3 or DTS. If your heart is set on a 7.1 speaker system, then look for a Dolby Digital EX or DTS ES instead. Other systems like Dolby Pro Logic 2 or DTS Neo 6 are designed to simulate surround sound from a stereo input, and it's all too easy to choose one of these by mistake, so make sure you choose the correct output type when you set up your system. It should come as no surprise to find that manufacturers are notorious for bending product specs to suit their marketing. 5 10-watt speakers, for example, is a far cry from a single 50-watt speaker. The frequency response curve will give you some idea of how a system performs if you know how to read it. Ideally, you should be looking for a flatter response curve as possible, but the only way you'll know for sure is if you listen to it yourself. Everything about acoustic engineering is complicated, and it's tempting to assume that more speakers equal better sound. In a perfect environment, this is probably true. But in the real world terms, you'll probably find the difference pretty hard to spot. Add the fact that you now have an extra pair of satellites to justify to your significant other, as well as the extremely limited number of 7.1 enabled movies currently available, and you're better off sticking with a good 5.1 system. So that brings us to the halfway point and the end of this part of the video. Join me in part 2 when I'll be looking at the remaining 5 mistakes from our top 10. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.